Hello and welcome to this week's Black Mental Health is Black Health. And as always, I have an amazing guest, which you'll find out about in just a minute. But we've got to start off with some deep breathing. I don't know how your day has been, but mine was kind of long, so I need the breaths myself. So if you're new to us, we start off with 3 deep cleansing breaths. It allows you to clear your mind, relax your body. So let's get started. I'm going to count slowly to 4. I'll say breathe in. I'm going to count slow, and I want you to breathe in slow and deep. Then I'll say out and count to 4. We're going to do 3 deep cleansing breaths. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. One more. In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. I had to get in at least one. You all got 3 in. How did that feel for you, Katrina?
I needed that deep breath.
Yes, you see how that breathing can just change. It can change your world, I like to say. And so we do that because, when you have a lot going on any time of day or night, stopping and taking those deep breaths really can make a difference. And tonight we're talking about anxiety. And before we even get started, I will say when you're in that moment of anxiety, stop and have some deep breaths, and it can really help. I always say to my guests, tell us who you are and tell us something cool about you. So, my dear, who are you? Tell us something cool about you.
Okay, so my name is Katrina Cole. I am a mother. I'm a what do you call it? A serialpreneur, multipreneur. I have a lot going on. I'm a real estate agent, a life insurance agent, travel agent. A lot. This is like going on a tax preparer. But recently, last year, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. So I decided to take my health into my own hands. So I went on a health journey last year. And during that time, I was able to come off all my medications and lose 141 pounds in less than 6 months. So I think that's cool.
Amazing. So you are a true example of taking life in your own hands. That right there would be a story to tell. This woman has so much in her life that is so awesome. But tonight she's chosen to be vulnerable enough and talk about her anxiety. And I think it's so important, especially now as a therapist. I've talked to other therapists, we're seeing more and more people who just life right now is causing anxiety and triggering things that may have been held in for years, or just clients who are like, what if I get deported? Because, that's just a reality in their life. Or I don't want my child to even go to the store because, there was a shooting at the mall the other day. And, things that are really in our world that are anxiety producing. Are we going to war? So much. So anxiety is heightened. But some people have been dealing with anxiety for a long time. And Katrina is going to talk to us about hers. So, how long would you say you've even been dealing with anxiety? Did you have to manage this as a child? Was it part of your life?
Yes, I've been dealing with anxiety and panic disorder since I can remember. The earliest that I remember was in preschool.
Mm-hmm.
I remember having this fear. I never knew what it was, but I always scared, especially going off to school.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would have to come sit in the classroom with me because I couldn't calm down. I would just cry all the time. So in school, kindergarten, they put me out for a little while because I couldn't stop crying, and I didn't understand what was going on with me. But my dad, he had dealt with that too. So he recognized what was going on. I didn't know. I just thought I was just scared for no reason. I didn't know what was going on with me.
How long did that last? Was it the whole kindergarten year? Did it finally subside or what? You said they put you out for a while, so.
I think it was like a couple of weeks put me out, but when I came back, I finally calmed down a little bit. Now I still dealt with it off and on throughout the year, and
Mm-hmm.
going on. For the most part, you know, they let me come back, and I calmed down a little bit.
Mm. So was it hard for you to maintain that?
It was. This is something I've been dealing with my entire life.
Mm. Does it? Are there others in your family that have anxiety issues?
My dad dealt with the same issue, and from what I heard, his mom did too.
Mm. And for some people, it is. It's even, genetically predisposition for it, or just you learn it because the people you're around, that's how they manage life. There's so many ways where you can see it within families.
Mm.
How would you describe your childhood, though? Because they're even at four, things can be traumatic, things can be difficult that can cause us to have anxiety. What was your childhood like?
Oh, it was a lot. Growing up and as a child, dealing with a parent who deals with the same thing and not understanding, some of the things they may do and the process they take, and not knowing that they're doing this because they're trying to cope as well. So,
Mm.
growing up, seeing different things, not understanding it, caused me to kind of just go within, and I held all of that in, not knowing what was wrong with me, and just thinking I was crazy. I just knew something was wrong, and I didn't know what.
What was your dad's anxiety like? Because, like you said, you saw him. What kind of things, how did it look with him?
It looked like not driving. It looked like
Mm.
not going in crowded places, parking on the side, like away from everybody when we went to grocery stores and stuff like that. So, like as a child, I was 7 years old going in the grocery store, full-fledged grocery shopping on my own because my mom would sit outside with my dad.
Wow. So, we have a term for that, the parentified child. You had to go and be the grown up at age 7 and do grown up stuff.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
Um, it taught me a lot. I mean, at the time I was a little nervous, but now I look back, I was like, well, I was able to grocery shop and pick out bargains and coupon and everything at a young age. So it's a, win-lose situation.
Mm. 7 is early to have to go learn some of those lessons. When I think about, there's some positive things I can think of and negative that would come, out of that. Having, you said you dealt with anxiety, and it seems like some of the things you saw or learned from your father, dealing with not being able to be around people, not liking crowds, those things. What about you as an adult and driving, for instance? You said he didn't, driving wasn't something he was comfortable doing, being around people. What about you?
So some of that did pass on to me. I know that anxiety is, can be hereditary, but also parts of it can be learned behavior. So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what was what, but the driving part definitely passed on to me. So I start having really bad anxiety as I got older in high school. And I didn't start out having issues with driving, but as I got older and became a young adult, that's when the issue started. I remember I used to drive all the time, but I remember this one particular day I had just dropped my husband off at work, and I had my baby, I had a newborn, and I was heading back, and all I remember is this feeling came over me, this overwhelming feeling. It felt like I was alone. It felt like my body was hot. I was just tingling. I just felt like I was going crazy. Like my mind was just racing with all kind of thoughts, and I couldn't control it. And all I remember doing was just calling my dad, like just screaming, just come help me, help me, help me, because I didn't know what to do. I pulled over the road, and I just couldn't bring myself to get behind the wheel and go forward. So they came and got me. And from that day on to about maybe 10 to 12 years later, I would not get behind the wheel of a car.
At all. How old were you?
I was 23, 24.
Now you said earlier when you were and you got over the Stephen Kinder and things were okay, and then by the time you got to high school, the anxiety came back. Do you know, was there an incident or life issues that brought it back for you?
I'm not sure of one particular
Mm-hmm.
incident. No, there was I was just under a lot of stress as a child, so I'm not sure of one particular incident that may have happened,
Mm-hmm.
triggered it, but I just remember going through it. And I remember people not understanding what I was going through. Like, for instance, we would be somewhere over a relative's house, and when it was time to go, I would just freak out. Like, I would just start panicking, and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Like, and people would say, just ignore her. She's just a child showing out. And I'm like, they don't understand. Like, it's a feeling that I cannot describe. And I don't want to get in this vehicle and ride anywhere. And
So was that anxiety about the vehicle? That was part of that? I know driving is an issue, but was being in a vehicle in and of itself a problem?
at that time, I didn't realize that that was,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew is that it was a feeling that I did not want to leave. I just didn't want to. If we left, I felt like something was going to happen, or that feeling came over me. And like I said, most people didn't understand. I'm glad my dad did understand what was going on, so he can kind of calm me down by talking to me or whatever. But yeah, it was a lot.
Mm-hmm. So how did your parents handle it? Your dad experienced, the same thing. So did he have empathy for you?
He did. He understood it, what I was going through, but he handled it a lot by I did go to therapy. I had a
That was
counselor.
good.
When they prescribed medicines, but he was not into the medicines. And now that I'm older, I understand why. But at the time, I was like, I just need help. And a lot of prayer. He would take me up for prayer at the churches and everything. So a lot of it was handled with faith instead of like the clinical way.
Mm-hmm. How
Yeah.
long were you in therapy as a child?
Um,
Or what ages?
I remember probably about 2 or 3 years, and
And around how old?
yeah, probably 2 or 3 years. I just didn't like the way I got put with a therapist who was not very understanding, and it was kind of traumatic. So yeah.
And no one therapist is for everybody. And I've also just heard some horror stories, when I get clients and they're like, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to badmouth the therapist. I was like, well, I don't think that's going to be your experience here. Things can happen. How would you tell us more about the anxiety itself? What it was like as a child, when as a young adult, and now, because I think it will help people to hear. So, for you, what is a panic attack like? Because a lot of people, believe it or not, I think you said it too. I didn't know what was going on. That's a panic attack. So, and they're different for different people. But for you, what was it like, in your 20s? You talked about that one time. Is this going on? Can you tell when it's getting ready to start? Or just kind of walk us through that process.
So it starts out in your head. It starts out in my brain. I can tell it's almost like the fear of having the panic attack starts to trigger.
Mm, mm,
Like
mm,
thought racing in my head, like, okay, this is about to happen. You're about to go crazy.
mm,
You're not going to be able to control yourself. So when I get them mostly during driving myself. I know we hadn't gotten to that part yet, but I get them mostly during driving now. So when I'm driving, the thoughts are already racing, and I'm trying to calm down. I'm trying to take my deep breaths, but it's difficult when you're in the middle of it. That's why
right.
before it comes on. But I start getting hot. Body start getting hot. My legs and my feet and fingers start going numb. I hot in my, like I said, my mind. I feel like I'm going crazy, and all I want to do is just take off. It's just an overwhelming feeling,
Mm,
and I'm
mhm,
alone. That's why I usually now I did start back driving. I know I told y'all I stopped driving
mhm,
years, but I did start back driving. Had a friend of mine who would let me just drive around the block, 1 block a day, and so I got in the habit of driving a little bit. So now I drive small distances around my hometown, but not too much. But I still, most of the time I have to have somebody with me while I'm driving, or somebody following me that that I'm familiar with to keep me going. Because sometimes the attacks don't always manifest out loud, and sometimes they do. What I mean by
What do you
that,
mean by that?
like sometimes I can have a whole attack and nobody around me would know it if I don't say
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
on my head. So I'll be sitting there just calm, and you would not know that I'm having these thoughts or having this attack inside. And sometimes when I'm driving, it may manifest as me just screaming like ah, like I'm freaking out. So I never know how it's going to how overwhelming it will be. And then sometimes it just feels like almost like I'm having like a I don't know, want to call it a seizure or something, and my head just feels funny. And by the time I finish draining, it's like physically draining after the attack.
And I'm glad you gave your explanation of what it's like for you, because people need to understand that panic attacks, anxiety attacks are both physical and mental. And I always talk about mental health and physical health are just different sides of the same coin anyway. Your coin of health, physical, spirituals. And since they're the same sides of the same coin, you impact one, you can impact the other. And when you think about it, everything that you are experiencing, it has its physical component, but it's also mental. You even said it starts in my head, but it goes to my body. And then my head is telling me this. So, you can see that cyclic nature of it's mental, it's physical. How, if you were to say on a 1 to 10 scale, and you can go higher than 10 if you need to, in your worst anxiety moment, how bad was it? With 1 being, I am so, I'm mellow, all is awesome. 10 being, I am anxious and is off the chain. What's your biggest it's been?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Kind of that's what I said. You can go past 10 if you need to. Um, What is it like for you knowing this is part of your life? How does it impact you in your adult life?
When I was younger, I didn't quite understand it. Now I'm starting to understand it more, and there are more resources out here. Of course, there's social media, which you can actually use for good sometimes, that's how I noticed, there were other people out there who actually deal with the same thing that I'm dealing with. So I can kind of relate to them. But it can be overwhelming and debilitating.
Mm.
And that can actually cause you to go into a depression because you feel like you're depending on everyone else to do everything for you. Or I can't drive here, or I can't do this, or sometimes I'm so overwhelmed I just have to have somebody with me. Because I went through a stage when I first stopped driving. I also went through a stage where I couldn't be alone.
Mm.
I had I don't know what happened, but I just could not be at home or anywhere alone by myself. So my mom and dad would come sit with me while my husband at the time was at work, and so they would sit with me the whole entire day until he got home from work because I couldn't be alone. It's like being alone, the feeling of being alone felt like someone dropped me in the middle of the desert, and I knew for a fact that no one was around me for like hundreds of thousands of miles. And just imagine that feeling. The
Mm-hmm.
person around and no one can get to you and you can't get to anyone else. That's the feeling that I felt, even if someone was just a few miles away. Just the fact that I was by myself. So
How long did that phase last for you?
um, that lasted about 2 to 3 years.
Mm.
It was a lot.
What do you think changed to get you from okay, I'm don't have to be this way at this point?
Um, Actually, at that time, me and my husband had went through a short separation, and during that separation, I was forced,
Mm.
so I didn't have a choice. So that kind of, I guess, that exposure to being by myself, and I didn't have a choice. It kind of changed a lot. Yeah, it
How
changed.
long ago was that where you have been able to be by yourself?
That's been a while. That was I think it's been like 14 years ago, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it's been a minute. That's good. Um, in the last, I'd say, year or so, where is your anxiety?
Ooh, up and down, up and down. So
Tell
I
us about that up and down.
I was on medication for a while, but I decided to
Mhm.
wean off because I didn't want to be on medications every day. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with medications,
Mhm.
everybody, but I personally didn't want to be on medications every day, so I kind of weaned myself off with the help of the doctor. Um, but the past year, I I have my moments, especially when driving. But it's
Okay.
like after I got diagnosed with sarcoidosis, the physical things that were happening in my body, like me feeling like I wanted to pass out, the breathing difficulties because the sarcoidosis was affecting my lungs. When I start feeling those physical things, it triggers more anxiety. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why is this happening to me? I know this is going on in my lungs, and I feel like I'm about to pass out. It frightened me even more. So
Right. Can you tell the audience what sarcoidosis is? Everybody doesn't know. Can you give them a little, because you've mentioned it, and I want them to just understand.
sarcoidosis is an autoimmune disease that it can affect different organs in your body. It can affect your lungs, your heart, this different organs in the body. Mine's happened to affect my heart. So basically,
Mm.
your body fighting against this. Not my heart. I'm sorry, my lungs. Basically, it's just your body fighting against itself. That's basically.
And you say, are you on medication for that now, or now that you made some? Can you tell them some of the life changes you made? Because when I think about it, and we've talked about some of the life changes you made, and those can impact your mental well being as well. So, can you share some of the? You said you lost over 100 pounds, so you didn't just wake up and do it, but you did it in a way to manage the sarcoidosis. Tell us about that.
So when the doctor first told me that it may be sarcoidosis, I came home and I know mine's just a little bit extreme. Everybody's not going to be able to do what I did, but I came home and the next day I went on a 30-day juice cleanse. So basically, for 30 days, I ate no solid foods. I just drank juiced fruits and vegetables. So I did that for 30 days, and then after the 30 days, I transitioned into raw. Raw is basically raw fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And so after doing that, and I've been back on some cooked foods now, but I try to do a lot of raw and still juicing. But after that, I was able to come off my blood pressure medication. Every medicine I was on, acid reflux. I no longer my blood pressure is regulated. No more pre-diabetes. The sarcoidosis itself, it took a while because I ended up going on another cleanse as well, but it took a while. But the nodules that they found on my lungs that were so
Mhm.
large, they were concerned about. When I went back to the doctor for a second scan, they said they were shrunken to almost nothing. So it played a major part, not only weight loss, but I'm able to come off all meds, and the sarcoidosis is going in the right direction.
That is amazing. And that speaks to there's so much healing in what we put in our body.
Right.
Food, those who will say food is medicine, and it really is when you change what you're eating and what you're putting in your body. And we're not here to give medical advice. We're just, as she said, she's sharing her journey. And when you think about your mental health, as well as physical, as your body heals, your mind can heal. Because what I've listened to the progression of your anxiety, how, yeah, it's still there, and you say sometimes when you drive, but there was a period where you couldn't drive at all.
Mhm.
There's a period where you couldn't be in the house at all. And as it kind of goes together, you talked about your journey, what I'm hearing is the more your physical body heal, the more your mental body seems to be healing. Do you see that, or am I wrong?
Yes, yes, definitely. It's it's a it's progressively healing.
Mm-hmm.
I started my juicing and eating raw. I could tell the difference. The panic attacks start slowing down. They wasn't as often or as intense. So yes, it's definitely made an impact on that part of my life as well.
It's feeding our mind and our body. We are like 5 minutes left. So tell us, what are some coping skills, one or two coping skills that help you? Because that might be something that someone can grab onto?
I guess I would say exposure. Like
Explain that.
so, just like I was saying when I first started driving, just me driving around that one block over and over,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to drive 2 blocks and then 3 blocks, and then all the way home, which is like 5 miles away. Even though somebody was following me when I drove home, but just that exposure of doing it over and over
Mm-hmm.
became familiar, um, and also self-talk. So when I was driving, especially when I drove a few times by myself, in between from my town to the next town, which is the hardest part for me. But when I was driving, I would just talk to myself and say, "Hey, okay, if you make it from this point to this point, you're still close to home. You get from this point to the next point, you have a friend that stays right here. If something happens, you can just pull over. And once you like beyond that point, you're almost to your destination." So I would just kind of psych myself,
Mm-hmm.
telling myself, because it's all in your mind. It's all what you make your mind believe. So I would just psych myself out and talk to myself like that.
And those are two good things. That exposure is just putting yourself in that situation. And the self talk tells you that you're safe in that situation, even though it's scary, even though it's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. Okay. But then you tell yourself you can. One of the things I like to say is that it's true. Just telling yourself you can doesn't make it happen. But I guarantee you, if you tell yourself it can't, you can't.
Right.
Because when you tell yourself you can, you open the door for that possibility and you increase exponentially your ability to do something. Because I can do it. You say, yeah, I can do it. And then sometimes it is like a conversation. I can do it. I really can do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then you move forward. But if you're telling yourself, I can't do it, it's too hard, you're not even going to put forth the effort to try because you're now convincing yourself, I can't do that. I can't do that. So, yes, that self talk is so important. I've got one last thing. What would you say to someone who may be experiencing anxiety and they haven't really acknowledged it or they trying to hide it? And it's like, I'm embarrassed. What could you say to encourage them?
Um, you're not crazy. Uh, you're not weird. It's nothing really wrong with you. And you're not the only person going. It's tons of other people going through it, just like you. Some of them don't want to speak out because we've been taught that it's something to be ashamed of, or if you have any kind of mental health issues, then oh my gosh, you're crazy or something.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Just speak out about it. Find some a support group. Go to therapy. I think that would really help. Just to open your mouth and acknowledge it and speak out about it. Because when I'm in the middle of my attacks, sometimes when I look over to the person, tell them I'm, then my attack starts to come down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm feel I feel this, and this. I get it out there in the open, and then it's not so. It's like I'm not carrying it by myself anymore.
And it takes the power away. When you're holding it in, it can have power over you. But like you say, when you share it and say that's a problem, I believe in saying if it's your anxiety, it's your depression, and we didn't even get to talk about the relationship the two of those have, and you alluded to it that it can lead to depression because of the way it impacts your life. But I tell people embrace it, and a lot I get kickback when I first say that. I say, you know what? I think you need to embrace it. If I embrace it, I claim it, I own it, then I can change it. As long as I'm, well, no, not really. I'm a little anxious. No, I'm having full blown panic attacks. No, I am depressed. I can go to work, but I can't do anything else. Claim it, then you can change it. So it seems to be, where you are. You gotta claim it. It's mine. And since it's mine, I can get rid of it. I can throw it away. I can control it, not let it control me. And each day your control becomes more and more. Well, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing and being vulnerable, because I think seeing a person who has it all together like you, who still has managed anxiety, still has to manage it, can give people hope that it doesn't have to control you forever. We always like to end the show with a call to action. And the call to action is this: if you're struggling, you don't have to struggle alone. Reach out. You can go to my website, go to the Connect page, and it's up there, blucaslpcs.com. Go to the Connect page, contact page. I don't have to be your therapist. I can help you find who you might need. But be able to reach out for someone, get help. You don't have to struggle alone. And I always say vote, vote, vote. Be an educated voter. I don't care where you are. Red state, blue state, gentrified state, everything taken over state. Let your voice be heard. That can impact your mental health because laws can be changed to cut you out. When your insurance is changed, that can affect your physical and mental health. So vote, vote, vote. We have an election coming up in March. Be an educated voter. I am Ms. B, the Black Couch Therapist. I'm here to help you become a better you. And thank you, Miss Katrina, for coming and joining in today, allowing us to just see part of your journey. And hopefully, and no, not hopefully, I know someone's been helped by seeing you.
And thank you for having me.